This is what you need to know if you are preparing to sell your home. There's a couple things that are going to be some blanket items, and then there's going to be some things that are going to be very specific to you, your home, and your goals. But let's start with the blanket items. Number one, fix anything that looks scary. Scary to a buyer is going to be different than scary to a homeowner that's lived there for 20 years. Scary to buyer are things like water staining on a ceiling. It could be that the toilet overflowed 18 years ago and you just never got around to repairing it. That's fine. Get rid of the water stain. That's scary. Scary to a buyer could be overly cracked concrete, especially on a front stoop. Sometimes you'll get that pitting and those gapping there. Not a major issue in the short term. It's not necessarily going to affect the way that someone lives in the home, but it's scary to a buyer. We want to make sure that anything that looks like it's a ton of work is remedied, unless you're comfortable taking the route of a very strategically priced sale. So what that looks like is if your bathroom and it has an avocado green bathtub to match and toilet and sink, that's a little overwhelming. It's not necessarily any bigger of a project than a remodel of a 1990s bathroom, but it looks more intimidating. Those are things that may end up being well worth your while. Scary items are also things like carpet that is overly stained. It's one of those things where if the house is in great condition, but every single room of the carpet has clear stains, not wear and tear, we're not talking about light usage, we're not talking about those things, we're talking about stains. Your 6-year-old dumped a bunch of blue paint on the carpet and you got it out the best you could, but it wasn't really an issue after that. Or you had pets that were constantly dragging in mud, and so you've just got one little corner of the room that's got black carpet when everything else is relatively clean. Those things look scary. They read as large dollar amounts. Those look scary. We want to make sure those are handled. Anything that's an obvious disrepair. So things like doors that are falling off the hinges. If there are major defects in your countertop. If we have obvious defects in our electrical system. So sometimes you'll see that lights, they turn on and off, but they're not attached to the wall. That's a really simple fix, but it's scary looking. If we have major defects in our countertops, so if you have laminate countertops and they are clearly cracked and splitting, that's a problem. That's scary. We want to fix that. Beyond items that are scary, what we also want to make sure we're doing is a really good clean and a really good declutter. I don't have an issue with homes that have personal photos in them as long as it's not excessive. I think it shows the home has family potential. It shows that there's heart in this home. I personally don't have an issue with that. What we do want to make sure that we're handling are overly cluttered areas. And what I mean by that are focus on your horizontal surfaces. Tops of countertops, the tops of your cabinetry, any bookcases, tops of TV stands, things like that. We want to remove the visual clutter. We need buyers to be able to envision themselves in the home. And what that looks like for them are stopping points, right? So we don't want a gallery wall full of photos. We want maybe 1 or 2 strategically placed pieces of artwork so that they can look around, but their eyes have time to rest. The home isn't overwhelming. It feels welcoming, comforting, and warm as they go through. We also want to make sure that we've done a really good deep clean. I've been in this industry for nearly 10 years, and buyers can overlook a good amount of things. They really struggle to overlook when something's not clean. So here's what that means. Make sure that there's no smells. Don't go cover them with a plug-in air freshener. If you're going to use an air freshener, make sure you get a good quality one. Focus on essential oils, things like lavender, eucalyptus, pure vanilla, things like that, and set them away from your front door. Make sure that the smells are handled. Make sure that you are covering all of the cracks and crevices. So clean your baseboards, clean the spindles on your stairs. Make sure that you turn off your ceiling fans and dust them. Make sure that you clean the return registers on your heating vents. Those are all items that pay dividends. Make sure that your cabinets have been wiped down. They are a natural collector of grease, of grime, and of dust. When buyers are walking through a home and they see that every single corner and nook and cranny of this home is clean, they subconsciously translate that into this home has been well maintained. And they're going to be more interested to pursue it and pursue it with heart and soul, which leads to a greater outcome. Those basics, we start talking about maximizing your sale price. And that may look like replacing flooring. It may look like painting. It may look like a light cosmetic remodel of a bathroom or a powder room or even your kitchen. That's all going to be very dependent on your goals and your timeline and how much you're interested in investing in this project. From there, we move into some cherry on top items. So these are going to be things like formal staging. Formal staging is something that really can move the needle forward if you're willing to make the investment. It's something that you partner with us on. We don't do it in a vacuum. We make sure that we have your buy-in and that you understand what this looks like and how that's going to change your life. For example, if you have a third-party company coming in and staging your home and you have little kids, you have to be mindful of what it's going to be like keeping those items intact so that they present well, but also so that they return well as your little kids are running around. There's not a one size fits all. I'm going to say it again. There's not a one size fits all.